students. My name is Meet Bakotia. I'm Assistant Professor in Mechanical Engineering, Rai School of Engineering, Rai University, Ahmedabad. The topic that I'm going to cover today is friction. So let's proceed. Let us start. Now, the first thing that will arise in your mind is what is friction. So you can see here that on a table, a book is placed. When you place a book, the book as well as the table are in contact with each other and both are giving forces on each other. So if I try to move the book on the table, the resistance will be caused by the table. It will not let the book to move forward. This phenomenon is called as friction. If I still want to clearly explain you the meaning of the friction, then let us understand the types of the friction that will give you a clear idea of how the friction acts. If you see here, there are three types of friction: static friction, limiting friction, and kinetic friction. Further, kinetic friction is also divided into two types, which is rolling friction and sliding friction. Let us first move with the static friction. You can see here there is a footballer, right? He has placed his leg onto the football. Currently, the ball is not moving onto the football ground. So, the friction which is experienced between the leg, the ball, and the ground is called as the static friction, because neither the leg nor the ball, nothing is moving. The friction is purely taking place because of the body is at rest. So when the body is at rest and when the friction takes place, that type of friction is called as static friction. Let us move to dynamic friction. Now you can see here a very nice image of a patient which is being pushed by the nurse or a doctor. So you can see here the body is in moving condition. Body as in, I'm trying to tell you that the patient is sitting on the chair and the chair is moving onto the road. So the rollers and the road, there is a kind of a friction which is taking place between these two. So when the body is moving and when the friction takes place at that time, that type of friction is called as rolling friction. So you can see here the friction experienced by a body when it is in motion is called as the dynamic friction. In dynamic friction also there are two types. The first type is the sliding friction. You can see here the animal is sliding from top to down. So we can say that when a friction is experienced when one body slides over the another body, then that type of friction is called as sliding friction. Now, moving to the next type, rolling friction. You can see here the bicycle is moving onto the road. So obviously the rollers are rolling onto the road. So when one body rolls over the another body, then that type of friction is called as the rolling friction. Moving ahead. Now we want to know that why the friction is necessary, right? Friction is called as the necessary evil because it is not good, yet sometimes we require the friction. So applications of friction are listed over here. The first simple application, you can see here the person is walking, right? So when we walk onto the floor, obviously the resistance will be given by the floor to us, right? And we would be walking slowly. So that type of phenomenon of friction is experienced when we are walking. The another necessity of friction, we can say that during writing we are able to write onto the say on book or any object is just because the friction is present. If friction was not present, we could not write down anything easily and we could not note down anything easily. So the second application of friction is writing. Next, moving to the third application, you can see here the third application is skating. The person is skating right onto the floor. How is it possible? It is possible because of rolling friction. You can see here there is a friction between the rollers and the object on which he is rolling, right? So during skating the rollers are moving onto the road and that is how the friction is helping the person to do this skating. The next is driving. Obviously you can see here there is a car which is moving onto the road. Again, the friction which is here is type of rolling friction. How is the car able to move on the road? Because the rollers have the friction with the road. So this type of friction is helping us to drive onto the road. So the fourth application is driving, and it is only possible because of friction between the the wheels and the road. Moving further, now the best application of friction is the screw jack. Up till now, whichever applications I told you were, say, walking, writing, skating, these are simple applications. But if I want to give you a proper mechanical application of friction, then it is a screw jack, right? So what is a screw jack? You can see a screw jack is a device used for lifting the heavy load. You could have seen in the car wash, right? What is happening in a car wash? The car is placed, and then due to the load, the car is lifted. But the only thing in the car wash is that hydraulic operation is used. But if I'm doing this purely with the mechanical operation, I'm putting a load and then I'm rotating the handle, then what is going to happen? The load is going to be lifted up. That is exactly the function of the screw jack. Screw jack, it either lifts the load or it lowers the load. And how is it possible? It is possible because of the different parts which are there in the screw jack. Let us see which are the different parts. You can see here there is a body. Which is the body? This downward portion is called as the body. The handle, you can see the one which is rotating, that is the handle. The third is the screw. You can see here this part is the screw. And how is that handle rotating? Because it has a nut. So these are the four main parts of the screw jack: the body, the handle, the screw, and the nut. Let me show you with a clear picture the different parts of the screw jack. You can see here, this is the body, this is the handle. From center to the end of the handle, this distance is the length. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to rotate the handle, and accordingly the load is going to be raised. This is the screw, and you can see here this, right? This is the nut. So screw, nut, body, handle helps us to lift the load, and it helps us to lower the load. Now, screw has square threads. So you can see here the threading is being done over here. So due to threads, the nut can easily move onto the screw up as well as down. You can see here the threads are there. Here you can see that internal threads are there inside the nut, which is going to help the nut to move in the upward direction. The load to be raised or lowered has to be put over here. So you can see the load is placed onto the screw jack. So once I rotate the handle, the load will be lifted, or it can be lowered as and when the mechanical engineer wants. Let's move further. Now I want to explain you the terminology of the screw threads. So what are the different terms in the screw jack? What are the terms in the thread? The first term is the nominal diameter. Now what is a nominal diameter? You can see here this outer diameter. These are the threads. These are the screw threads. So if you see the outer diameter, that is from this portion to this portion, that is called as the nominal diameter. So largest diameter of the screw, the largest diameter of the screw is called as the nominal diameter, and it is denoted by small letter d. Let us move to another term. The second term is core diameter or inside diameter. Now you can see this is the largest diameter, but this one is the shortest diameter, the distance from here to here. So the smallest diameter is called as the core diameter, right? And it is the diameter which helps to carry the load, lift the load. Let's move further. The third term is the mean diameter. Now obviously every one of us know mean or average is nothing but the addition of the largest smallest divided by 2. So you can see here it is an average of the nominal diameter and core diameter. The average of the outside diameter and the inside diameter. The next is pitch. Now what is pitch? Pitch is the distance from one thread to another thread. You can see here the distance from one end of the thread to another end of the thread. That is called as pitch, right? So distance from one end of the thread to another end of the thread, that is called as pitch. You can see here the definition is written, distance measured parallel to the axis. Why parallel to the axis? This is the axis of the screw and we are measuring the distance parallel to the axis from one point to another point. That is called as pitch. Let's move to another term which is called as lead. Now mark here, if I've started rotating the handle and when the screw takes one full turn, the nut takes one full turn and returns to that position. At that time, whatever distance is covered by the nut on the screw, that distance is called as lead. So the definition is written here, distance covered by screw when it takes one full 360-degree turn. During that 360 degrees, whatever distance which is covered, that is called as the lead. There is a difference between lead and pitch. The distance difference is shown by the formula. Lead is number of starts into pitch. Now what is this number of starts? In a screw, the threading might be done at one start, single, that is single start, double start or triple start. So if it is a single start, then lead will be equal to pitch because lead is 1 times pitch. If it is double start, then lead will be 2 times pitch. And if it is triple start, then lead will be 3 times pitch. Let me give you more clarity by this diagram. Now you can see here, these are the single threads which are orange in color. So here the lead will be equal to pitch because number of start is 1. If you see the second diagram, the green and orange. So the threading is done in two ways. The two starts of threads are there. 1, 2, 1, 2. So the lead will be 2 times pitch in double start threads. And here there is a triple start thread. You can see here it is green, orange and purple. Green, orange and purple. So here the lead will be 3 times pitch because the number of starts are 3. So the lead and pitch has a very important relationship between them. I hope you understood that what is the difference between lead and pitch. Now moving to the terminology of screw thread, the next term which is there is called as helix angle. Helix angle alpha. Now what is this helix angle? You can see here, this is the lead. This is the lead. That is the distance covered by screw when the screw takes one full 360-degree turn. So lead, this is nothing but the circumference pi d, because our screw is going to take one full turn. So if I want to take the circumference, I will have to take pi d. But I am not going to take pi dc or pi d. I am going to take pi dm because I am going to take into consideration the mean diameter. So this distance is circumference, that is pi d. This distance is lead. And what is this? This is nothing but our angle at which the screw has been cut. So this is our angle at which the screw has been cut. So what is helix angle? This is the helix angle. Helix angle is nothing but angle made by the helix. What is helix? This is one helix. This is second helix, third helix, fourth helix. Angle made by helix of the thread with a plane perpendicular to the axis of the screw. So you can see here, This is the axis and it's perpendicular 90 degrees this line. So angle made by helix with the perpendicular, that is called as the helix angle or angle alpha. Helix angle is calculated because we want to know that how much the helix angle will lead us in the lifting the load or lowering the load. Now we are going to do a simple numerical for which we will require to do some simple calculations. So let us one by one list down the formulas, and on basis of those formulas we can solve one simple numerical. So let us first write down the formulas of the screw jack. These formulas are not new. Whatever you saw there, I'm just listing them again one by one on basis of which we can solve the numerical. So the first formula you already know, lead is number of starts into pitch. If it is a single start, it is single start, then lead is equal to pitch. If it is double start, then lead is equal to 2 times pitch, and if it is triple start, then lead is equal to 3 times pitch. So our first formula is the relationship between lead and pitch. The second formula we have already done here while we were seeing helix angle. You know here, this is alpha. What is tan alpha? Tan alpha is nothing but opposite upon adjacent. So if this is alpha, this is hypotenuse, this is opposite side, and this is adjacent side. Opposite side is lead, adjacent side is pi dm. So tan alpha is L upon pi dm. So that is the second formula. That is the second formula which we are going to take for calculation. Tan alpha is L upon pi dm. Let's move to the third formula. The third formula is friction angle. Now, what is a friction angle? There should be a grip between the screw and the nut, right? Because when you will move the handle, the nut is going to carry the load. So there should be firm grip between those two parts which are having thread, right? So what is friction angle? Friction angle is phi. Friction angle is given as nothing but tan inverse of mu. And what is mu? Coefficient of friction. What is coefficient of friction? It denotes how much friction is there between the two parts which are contact with each other. Our next formula is effort required to raise the load. Now suppose I have placed a load over here and I'm going to move the handle. Then how much load will be raised? W. But how much effort is going to be required onto the handle so that your load is going to be raised? That effort required is P. How much effort? W tan alpha plus phi. W is the load which you are going to place, say 10 kilonewton, 15 kilonewton. W is nothing but the load. Alpha, we have already seen in the previous formula, tan alpha is L upon pi dm. Alpha is nothing but helix angle. Phi, you already saw here, tan inverse of mu. So effort required is W tan alpha plus phi. Last formula is effort required at the end of the handle. Now if this is the handle, here the load is going to be raised, then how much effort I will require to put on the handle? Then that effort or force is nothing but P1 into L is P into R. Now what is this P1 and L? Yes, so you can see here P into L. I can call it P1, I can call it P. These are several different notations which are there. So P into L is nothing but the force into distance. P is the force, L is the distance. Force into distance is nothing but force into radius. So P1 into L is P into R. So I want to find out how much effort is going to be placed on the handle so that the effort can be raised or lowered. We have already seen all the formulas. Now we want to solve one numerical. Let us quickly solve the numerical. The first numerical that we are going to solve is a screw jack has single start screw thread. Now we all know single start is nothing but the N is going to be 1. number of start is going to be 1. So single start screw threads with mean diameter. Mean diameter we denote by dm. So dm is 50 mm. If diameter is 50, radius is going to be half of diameter. So obviously radius is going to be 25 mm. Further, and pitch 10 mm. You already know that pitch is nothing but distance from one thread to another thread. So pitch is 10 mm. If the coefficient of friction, we have seen further, coefficient of friction is nothing but mu. It is denoted by mu. So mu is 0.15. You can see here the coefficient of friction is 0.15. Mu is equal to 15. Find the effort required at the end of 700 mm. The distance which is given from the end of the handle to where I have placed the load. That distance is nothing but 700 mm. So you can see here the length of the handle is 700 mm. And how much load I have to raise? I have to raise the load as 10 kilonewton. We always convert the load from kilonewton to Newton. So 10 kilonewton is nothing but 10 into 1000, which is 10,000 Newton. Now what they have asked? They have asked us find the effort required at the end of the handle. How much effort I should give on the handle so that this 10 kilonewton will be raised up. That is the only thing I have to do. We will solve the numerical step by step according to the formulas that we had listed. So let us start. The first thing is that, they have said that number of start is 1 because it is a single start thread. So lead is nothing but n into p. Our n is 1. So lead is nothing but pitch. So pitch is given 10 mm. So lead will also become 10 mm. First thing we have solved, we have found out lead. Next, I want to calculate alpha. I've already found lead as 10 mm and mean diameter of 50 mm is already given into the numerical. So I have to just put down the values. You can see here lead which was 10 mm and dm which was 50 mm. Mean diameter is 50 mm. So once you will do the calculation, this tan will come this side and it will become tan inverse. And tan inverse of this value is nothing but 3.6 degrees. So second thing, I found out the helix angle. The helix angle alpha is 3.6 degrees. Now I want to find the friction angle. Friction angle is denoted by phi. Phi is nothing but tan inverse of mu. Mu is already given. It was given 0.15. So tan inverse of 0.15 is nothing but 8.5. This tan will come this side. It will become tan inverse. So tan inverse of 0.15 is 8.5. So three things I have found out. I have found out lead. I have found out helix angle. I have found out friction angle. The next thing is the effort required, right? Because ultimately I have W with me, alpha I found out and phi is found out here. So I just have to put down the values. I will get effort. How much effort is required so I can raise the load. So you can see here alpha was 3.6 degrees, phi is nothing but 8.5. W is already given 10 into 10 raised to 3. If I put just 10, the value will come in kilonewton. But if I put as 10 into 10 raised to 3, the value will come in Newton. It is as per your need how you want to solve the numerical. Here I've just kept 10 kilonewton. So I found out the value of effort as 2.144 kilonewton. Now I just have to find out the last one thing, which is how much effort will be required at the end of the handle. I want to find out how much effort will be required at the end of the handle so the load can be raised. 700 is the distance which is already given in the Newton, that from end of the handle to where the load is placed, the distance is nothing but 700. I have found out P in the previous formula. It was 2.144 and mean diameter is given, whose half is radius, so it is 25. So 2.14 into 25. I simply one thing is unknown, P1. This 700 will come down over here. So the answer will be 76.6 Newton. So this is the end of the numerical of the screw jack. What did we do today? We just saw all the terms of the friction. We saw the classification of friction. We saw what screw jack exactly does. It raises the load, and we also saw the practically through the solving numerical how the screw jack lifts the load. I hope this video was very much of an importance to you to solve the numericals of screw jack. Thank you so much.